The main reason why I'd recommend a Realme X2 Pro over other smartphones to anyone or even buy one for myself is the incredulous charging speeds that we managed to achieve in our testing. You know what? This phone can charge in the time you order a pizza. Realme claims that you can charge the 4000 mAh battery from 0 to 100 in under 35 minutes. But you know what? We actually managed to do it in 30 minutes flat. SuperVOOC is a tech achievement that deserves its own chapter in smartphone history. And all credit goes to the incredible engineers at Oppo. Obviously, you will see faster charging technology evolve in the near future, but it all started here in all honesty. Now, the problem is that your phone does get slightly warm during charging as a result. And if that worries you, here's another cool fact. The Realme X2 Pro supports fast charging using any USB PD 18-watt charger. This means you can control the speed of charging and save battery longevity. But I'm sure that there is no problem as such. Only thing, don't use the phone while charging using the SuperVOOC brick. Now, if you are into gaming, you'd know that God of War for the PS4 and Halo for the Xbox are known to be system sellers. Similarly, I think personally that the SuperVOOC charging tech on the Realme X2 Pro is going to be a system seller for Realme. As for the battery life, with 90Hz display turned on, I got 5 hours and 45 minutes of screen on time on an average, which is not too bad. Yes, the K20 Pro will be better, but that's at 60Hz. And you can squeeze out more life from the battery if you drop the refresh rate to 60Hz on the Realme X2 Pro. So another USP of the X2 Pro is the 90Hz display on the phone, which is not present even on the Redmi K20 Pro or the OnePlus 7. This makes the whole experience of using the phone super smooth. Plus, this is a 6.53-inch Super AMOLED panel with a 20:9 aspect ratio, which means the phone is taller now and easier to grip as well. The bezels around the display are fairly slim, and the only distraction is present in the form of a water drop notch. This is where the Redmi K20 Pro has an advantage with its pop-out camera and no-notch display. As for Widevine L1, the Realme X2 Pro has that certification activated, which means you can watch shows on Amazon Prime and Netflix in HD. Furthermore, there's support for HDR10+ as well, but for some odd reason, the HDR shows are not available in HDR on Netflix. As for the quality of the panel, the temperature is a little on the cooler side, with the whites erring on the side of blue. The gentle mode does fix that problem a little though. To sum it up, the X2 Pro has an attractive display with a maximum brightness of 1000 nits and punchy colors as well. However, I still think that the OnePlus 7T has a better display overall compared to the Realme X2 Pro. Now, if you want me to talk about the Realme X2 Pro's design, there's not much to tell apart from the fact that this is possibly Realme's most polished candy bar design smartphone yet. This Corning Gorilla Glass 5 and aluminum sandwich design is the most common one in the industry now. However, Realme does try to do a couple of things differently to stand out. Firstly, the contentious Realme logo placement has split opinions far and wide. I don't like it per se, but after a point I didn't bother much. Now, the other thing is that you get a couple of special edition variants called Cement and Brick. Trust me, these variants, despite the plebeian design ideology, look pretty slick and distinctive. I'd take these any day over the white and blue variants. The rest of the design is standard fare with a Type-C port, headphone jack and speaker grill at the bottom. The power button and the dual SIM card tray are on the right edge and the volume rocker is on the left. These buttons offer great tactile feedback as well. To secure lock the phone, you get an optical in-display fingerprint scanner and face unlock. I prefer the fingerprint scanner always, and the in-display one on the Realme X2 Pro is blazing fast. However, the white light is so bright that it can shine through your fingers, lighting up your skin tissues. It looks captivating, but in the dark, the white light can get a bit much and could wake you up in an instant. A couple of other problems I had with the design is the quad camera module on the rear is slightly raised and it definitely wobbles on the table. Secondly, the earpiece cutout on top has sharp corners. The Realme X2 Pro takes forward Realme's quad camera strategy with a 64 megapixel primary camera, a 13 megapixel wide angle camera, an 8 megapixel telephoto camera and a 2 megapixel depth sensor. We already have a full camera comparison with the OnePlus 7T and the Redmi K20 Pro. What I found after testing the cameras is the X2 Pro is better than the K20 Pro for most scenarios, especially because it has a better dynamic range overall. but it is the OnePlus 70 that is undoubtedly better and undeniably more expensive too. Anyway, let me summarize the results of my Realme X2 Pro camera testing in a few points. Firstly, the Samsung GW1 64MP sensor is not any more crisper than the Sony IMX586, and Realme doesn't do much to control the noise around the corners. The dynamic range in most pictures is however phenomenal across the board. The wide angle camera can take fairly detailed shots, but there is no parity in the dynamic range or the color science. Now you can go closer to a subject in macro mode when you compare it to the macro camera on the Realme XT. You can go as close as 2.5 cm of a subject and the macro shots look great. Selfies are Realme's strong suit. I got some incredibly well detailed selfies in daylight and with night mode on in the night. Low light pictures look good enough with a fairly competent nightscape mode, but it is definitely not the best option out there, not even in the same price range. Thanks to yet another Oppo innovation, you get up to 20x digital zoom with a 2x telephoto camera. We saw this first on the Oppo Reno 2. Now Realme claims this is hybrid zoom and there is no way for me to tell if it is not, so I'll take their word for it. That said, the quality of the pictures even at 20x zoom are pretty good if you have stable hands. One reason why the Realme X2 Pro's camera performance is going to excite a lot of buyers is the fact that you get stabilization even at 4K 60fps video recording, and the sound quality is great too. Now, I don't see the need for a dedicated depth sensor on most phones. Regardless, you get a good portrait shot most of the time on the X2 Pro. So yeah, there you have it. The Realme X2 Pro has a good set of cameras and it is better than the Redmi K20 Pro as well. But is it the best? Definitely not. The X2 Pro has the latest version of ColorOS running on top of Android 9 Pie. It would have been nice to see Android 10, but you get what you get. Anyway, ColorOS is not my favorite Android skin by a stretch. Yes, it has improved by leaps and bounds, but there are some finishing touches still pending. I hope ColorOS 7 can change that. For example, when you hit the search bar, the text magnifies and it looks damn odd. Some of the icons and buttons deserve a fresh coat of paint as well, in my opinion. Having said all that, ColorOS is feature rich with stuff like dual apps, a fairly decent set of navigation gestures, and UI design that is inching closer to near stock experience with the app drawer as well. So it's not all bad. In fact, there's also a dark mode available in beta mode. It is a system-wide dark mode that converts all the apps to a dark palette. Definitely looks interesting for an experiment, but I don't think it's good for a daily use. As is the case with most flagships out there, you get Qualcomm's latest Snapdragon 855 Plus chipset. For India, Realme is importing only the 8GB 128GB and 12GB 256GB variants of the phone, which is good news considering you will get faster UFS 3.0 storage on it. The 6GB 64GB variant has UFS 2.1. You can see that from benchmark scores on your screen right now that the storage speeds are really good in comparison with other phones as well. In fact, while we're at it, let's take a look at the benchmark scores of Antutu and Geekbench as well in comparison with the OnePlus 70 and the Redmi K20 Pro. Evidently, the Realme X2 Pro doesn't top the charts or set it blazing, but these numbers at this level don't really mean much. In daily performance and gaming, the X2 Pro is a very dependable smartphone that does no wrong. I had raging sessions of COD one after the other on the phone. I was trying to get the medal for 400 kills using an assault rifle, you see. The phone didn't heat up or lag at any point while I was playing COD or even PUBG for that matter. What's even more surprising is the stereo speaker setup on the X2 Pro is damn good. You get extremely loud sound with a focus on definition and clarity even in the low end. It is by far among the top 5 best set of stereo speakers on a flagship smartphone. This is a distinction because this list includes phones such as the iPhone 11 Pro, Samsung Galaxy Note 10 Plus, and other more expensive phones. Even the headphone jack performance is great, but the Redmi K20 Pro is better thanks to the dedicated high-res audio support. Here's the thing though, these are extremely minor niggles and not worth making a big fuss about. The Realme X2 Pro's earpiece is crystal clear for calls as well, and the mics can also cut out a lot of noise. And even the 4G performance on Airtel was pretty good. Plus, I constantly kept getting dual Wi-Fi on my office network because there were a couple of Wi-Fi networks which it would patch up together, so that's really well done as well. So we're at the end of our review, and the verdict is being shot at a different location with me wearing a different attire, primarily because we're shooting this after the prize was launched to get a better perspective of what we think of the X2 Pro. So now that the prize is here with the Realme X2 Pro, I think that Realme has gone down and gotten the basics right, plus added a few flagship grade features as well. Which is why I sincerely think that Realme has mastered the art of cutting very few corners and the right ones while you're at it. You know what? If you compare it directly against the K20 Pro, the K20 Pro actually decided to go all screen and include a pop-out camera. In comparison, the Realme X2 Pro has a drop notch. Instead, you get a 90Hz display and the fastest charging battery technology on a smartphone in India today. When you put these choices on a weighing scale, evidently the Realme X2 Pro feels like a better bet. Having said that, the Realme X2 Pro has been priced at Rs 30,000 for the base variant, which is the 8GB 128GB variant. Now, the Redmi K20 Pro's base variant is lower, but the Redmi K20 Pro's 8GB 256GB variant is 1,000 rupees more than the Realme X2 Pro. As far as pricing is concerned, all of these phones are in the same vicinity and therefore they compete against each other, so there's nothing really to worry about. And therefore, once again, I feel like Realme X2 Pro might have a bit of a slight edge over the Redmi K20 Pro when it comes to the overall flagship smartphone experience. Now, evidently there's also OnePlus 7T, which is of course slightly more expensive, but you have to also take into the fact that you get a better set of cameras and you get far better software experience as well. Now, when you're talking about the Asus 6Z, which is another contender in this price range, now there you have the IPS LCD panel and motorized camera, so that's a little circumspect. Honestly, if you ask me, the Asus flagship to buy today would be the ROG phone and not the 6Z. So in this race and contention for which is the best budget flagship out there, it's just such a tight battle that it's very difficult to pick out one winner, but the Realme X2 Pro does stand out on its own. So what do you guys think of the Realme X2 Pro? Are you guys going to buy one? Do let me know in the comment section below.